there is a mystery Dark Order member as part of their big closing angle invasion on last night's AEW. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to the Dynamite review edition of WrestleTalk Live. Please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below with what you thought of that whole Dark Order angle. It's been a bit divisive amongst people. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. And also for the live chat, get in your super chats, because we'll be getting to those throughout the show. But first off, this is what went down.
Go, take us through it.
It was the Tag Team Championship main event between the Young Bucks and SCU. It was built up throughout the show very effectively, I thought.
Yes.
The Young Bucks and SCU had a decent match. By other standards, it was a very good match. But by AEW standards, I felt like it wasn't that long. And it lacked a little something.
It did, and it just sort of like the finish felt like it came out of nowhere. It felt like they were just about to get into their final thirds, and then they hit the SCU later and won.
Yeah, especially compared to last week's main event, which was that crazy, proud and powerful Young Bucks Texas Street Fight.
Yeah.
That was excellent, I thought.
One spot I did love before we get into the ending angle was when they were doing the double Dragon Sleeper spot, and Matt Jackson then gets Kaz and gives him a Northern Light suplex into Scorpio Sky and Nick Jackson. I thought that was a really cool spot.
Really, really. Oh, there was so many inventive bits there, but it wasn't really about that. It was about the main event angle that came afterwards. Maybe that's why they didn't kill themselves in the match, because they knew that the big cliffhanger was what came after. And it was teased throughout the show. There was a brief flash of I think it was Evil Uno.
It was Uno, yeah.
Sort of midway through the first match.
Yeah. And then I think it was during the Lady Persons match, they had like an advert come up, or just like text that says, join the Dark Order. And then there was like Jim Ross was like, you can also go to jrsbarbecue.com.
I thought, wow, what a great way to continue this very good repackaging of the Dark Order. They're genuinely getting over, and it's a slow build thing. I can't wait for this to pay off in about 6 weeks' time, just before Revolution. No, it was going to pay off right here on this show.
It certainly did.
Because the Dark Order come out. It's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson there at the top. Evil Uno says, I know what you're thinking. This isn't a sort of invitation. This isn't recruitment. It's an initiation.
Yeah, he said, you are losers. On any other night, we might even offer you a spot in the Dark Order. But tonight's not about recruitment. It is initiation. Thinking, initiation for who? And we found out who it was because the Creepers all got in the ring and started attacking the Bucks and SCU. But then Alex Reynolds and John Silver, who we saw being effectively recruited last week from their hotel room after Reynolds got beat by John Moxley. And they got in there and they did the beatdown. And Uno and Grayson get into the ring. Grayson takes out the masks. And Uno hands them the masks, and they put them on and officially join the Dark Order.
Yeah, it was not the biggest reveal because they've hardly been featured on Dynamite.
No, they had a match on Dark. I think they've had 2 matches on Dark, and then they had one match on Dynamite where they lost to LAX, and then they had a match on Dark, and then Reynolds lost to Moxley.
But they've been afterthoughts. They have not been featured at all. But sure, it built into the whole idea of if you keep losing and losing and losing, then the Dark Order will take advantage of your streak and kind of manipulate into joining them. Now, what was interesting here, also we had loads of baby faces running down. Kenny Omega, Dustin Rhodes, Cody.
No Hangman Page,
crucially. We'll come on to that later because that ties into another story, which I think's been told very well.
Yeah.
But, considering how many... Christopher Daniels jumped in as well. Considering how many top-tier talent there was there, I didn't buy into the Creepers overwhelming them. I almost wish there was about... 5 times probably too many, but there were significantly more minions.
Okay, yeah.
I thought that would have been a much better visual, but here it came off a bit shortchanged.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I thought it almost looked too much of a cluster because there was too many Creepers. I suppose from a believability standpoint, but I kind of took it as it was just a numbers game. Like, if you're being attacked.
By the end, there was probably about the same amount of people.
Oh, I think there were still more creepers than there were.
I don't know. You've got the image there. We could count them. I mean, look, Kenny Omega is worth 5 creepers.
Yeah, okay.
The Young Bucks are worth...
And I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that happens. Got issues with that. But there seems to... I do like the Dark Order lore that they seem to be establishing. And the generic creepers... just had, what was it, yellow masks?
The little green masks.
There was green
black
masks.
and green.
So luchador masks lined with green. But Alex Reynolds and John Silver, they were given purple masks. And then, of course, Evil Uno has a purplish mask, but it's different. And Stu Grayson, he's the first protege, I guess. He just gets to come as Bane without the mask.
He's not wrestling in it.
He looks awesome.
I love the look of Grayson. Yeah. And I do love the look of the act, particularly Uno, because he's now like wearing those suits. I think he looks boss.
But there was one other guy there who also had a purple mask on. So he's not a generic guy. He's someone who's already been recruited. Who could it be, I guess? But most people are speculating that it's Brandon Cutler.
Which is a name that really makes sense in terms of not that we have seen him being, recruited by the Dark Order or, being even approached by the Dark Order, but we have seen Cutler lose a lot on TV. We've seen him lose a lot on Dark. But I think quite crucially to this, we've seen him beat up a lot while trying to save the Young Bucks, particularly by Proud and Powerful. Like they powerbombed him through the stage during one of the beatdowns. He tried to make the save again last week when Proud and Powerful attacked the Bucks at the top of the match, and they again powerbombed him through the stage. So Cutler has almost got these priors of being a loser that could be susceptible to joining the Dark Order.
And it was that figure, we don't know if it was Cutler, at the end. I think it was Nick Jackson was down.
I think it was Matt.
Oh, Matt Jackson was down beneath all the Dark Order. He had a slightly busted open mouth. Evil Uno put his hand in Matt's mouth and then took it out to have a bit of the bloody on his hands to do the crawler thing. Why do I keep saying crawler? Creeper thing. And it was this guy who sort of held Matt up. So if the Young Bucks Cutler storyline is there. And
Cutler is very good friends with the Bucks. And that's actually, it's been established on TV. So you can almost already picture the reveal when they take the mask off to reveal that it's Brandon Cutler and the Bucks being like, what?
Let me picture that reveal. It's disappointing. So this is probably the let's get into thoughts mode, because this was a divisive angle. Dave Meltzer, you listened to his thing?
He absolutely hated this closing angle. Like, hated this. He thought it was Nitro levels of bad, because it's really not Dave's thing.
Yeah. But I listened to his thoughts as well. I guess what I got from him was that this was the turning point to, you should just focus on the Bucks. Focus on Omega. Focus on the stars that you've made and build them more at the moment. It's respectful to keep trying getting over new guys, but you've done that. You've done it with Darby. You've done it with Sammy. You've done it with Jungle Boy. Those guys are working with Statlander. But no, did I say that right?
Statlander, yes.
Yes, good. You looked at me funny.
No. Naomi Sakura on this one to trip you up.
But, the Nightmare Collective, Butcher, Bunny and the Blade, the Dark Order, not only are they just not connecting, I think that's fair to say they're divisive. They're not as universally applauded as those other ones I mentioned. No. They've also got the same gimmick.
That's where I think this really falls down. I said this in the review last week, in my 4-minute review, and then when we did WrestleTalk Live. It's that, and Brandy is doing the exact same gimmick with the Nightmare Collective, looking to recruit Chris Statlander, and then you did this twice on the same show. You had Brandy come down twice. You had Brandy on this show doing the Nightmare Collective recruitment thing and cutting off their hair, and then you do it here, and the crowd weren't reacting to it. And I don't know if it's just because we've already seen this story twice today. So do I need to see it a third time, but with a different group?
I think it's because it's not that great a story right now. Mm-hmm. I definitely think the Nightmare Collective one isn't working just because it's just missing something. Butcher, Bunny and the Blade, I guess it's not the same kind of story. They're not recruiting people. It's just they all wear black. It's just a drop in the ocean of gimmicks.
Creepy tag teams.
Yeah. The Dark Order, though, after a rough start, They just didn't connect with the audience because it was presumably an act that got over to live crowds and maybe in PWG, but it just doesn't translate from a cold start to a mainstream audience. So they went back to the drawing board very smartly and they started to repackage them. And that has been working. But I think you need to build that up over time. You need to get some top-tier people who have been losing. I mean, I thought Christopher Daniels would be a perfect Fallen Angel first recruit to make this feel like an actual credible faction.
Well, I didn't realize that Daniels was down there during the melee. I thought it was just the elite that had run down, minus Hangman Page.
Yeah.
So I was going to suggest that it could be Daniels.
No, of course he was down there to
but
save
I missed that.
because Daniels had a little bit of a crisis of confidence against Penta in a bit early on, based off their match the previous week. So that's a really sort of interesting story. I do not care, and I'm sure they're lovely. I don't care about John Silver. I don't care about. I don't even know their names.
You've had to ask me 3 times today.
Alex Reynolds. I don't even care about Brandon Cutler that much. So why are you trying to get over these guys to this extent? And Dark Order, I get. I was disappointed that they rushed this invasion angle to now, and I thought they immediately undermined it with the talent involved.
I think it is. I wasn't massively sold on the angle. I'm not going to, lie about that. I thought it was okay. It was fine. I thought it was too soon. I do like the gimmick, and I've really enjoyed the build to this point, and I've enjoyed another 4 more weeks of it.
Yes, yeah.
I think they wanted to close out 2019 with a big angle. This isn't the biggest of big angles they could have done. But for me, the only reason, the reason why this falls down for me is just because they're doing 2 groups doing the same gimmick. And I just think that blows my mind that as a company that's got so many moving parts, no one thought, these are similar, aren't they? Probably shouldn't do both of them at the same time on the same show. And that's why I think it's completely falling apart. I don't mind the talent levels.
Okay.
Because I think it's always good to kind of like put new guys in there and try and elevate some new talent off the back of it. And really, in the Dark Order, it's Grayson and Uno. It's not these other 2 lads. And I like Brandon Cutler, so I think that reveal would be good. I'm not emotionally invested in it, but I think it would be a good angle. I think the Bucks think it's better than it is. For me, it all falls down to the fact they've got 2 groups doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think if you type Dark Order in a thesaurus, it just comes up as Nightmare Collective. Dark Nightmare.
Yeah.
Order Collective. And even if it's at some point revealed that they're part of one big force, yeah, but that's not good either.
Yeah.
Even if it's good eventually, this stuff right now in the thick of it isn't working. And yeah, there were live reports that people were booing and chanting Bull S-word at this angle. But that could be good heat.
Yeah, we've heard from someone who was there who was tweeting us. They had a support WrestleTalk sign as well, if you noticed that, so thank you very much. And they said that in their area it actually got over quite well. But they also heard this, but it's unsure whether or not it was genuine heel heat or if it was just go away heat.
Shout out to Corpus Christi, by the way.
Great crowd.
Who are a historically terrible crowd. The joke is it's like wrestling in front of a corpse. It's Corpus Christi. But they were very, very good for a WWE Raw show this year, I believe. And this was a fantastic crowd all night. So
all
really
night long, indeed.
But let's see what your thoughts were on this Dark Order stuff. Nate Drop's surname says, the Creepers don't run at the top guys one at a time with their arms in the air. They attacked like a mob, and that's why it worked.
Well, I will give you that. Yeah. It was quite hilarious rewatching TLC with all of them running at Roman Reigns with their arms in the air so we could hit them with kendo sticks. And the other lads at the start who attacked them one by one. And it really did remind me of, you haven't even got a name badge. You stand no chance.
Yeah, that those tactics, definitely a lot better. But I thought there should have been more.
Yeah.
I thought it had been a great vision as well. And Siddhart Online said they teased Cutler joining the Dark Order on being the elite.
I criticize WWE all the time for running angles on social media, and then when they put them on TV and people are like, what's going on? And they're like, well, you didn't follow the story on social media, so it's all your fault that you didn't pick up on it. Like, that's such a small portion. Like, you want to be putting this sort of stuff on TV where it can, the most eyes can see it, as opposed to running it in a small thing. And I think it's one of, if Being the Elite is in canon to Dynamite, you need to have some connection there. You need to have Being the Elite, section of Being the Elite being shown on Dynamite and vice versa. And as well with Dark. Dark sometimes feels like it's in a different universe.
Yeah.
Like, they sometimes do stuff, but they never show you clips of Dark. So, yeah, if they've been teasing the storyline of Being the Elite, great, but you need to be doing that on TV, not solely on your YouTube show.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Brain Power 316, or I should probably say 316. That's
Maybe.
probably what that number means.
Probably.
Got a WrestleTalk sign on AEW last night.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was during a commercial. Did we, the Corpus Christi audience, redeem ourselves? Haha.
I thought the Corpus Christi crowd was great.
Yeah.
Really,
and
really good.
Was this the guy who...
It
all the pictures?
could well be.
Was that in an ad break?
It was in an
full
ad break,
screen.
yeah.
Well,
It was
thank
during-
you very much.
Yeah, it was during the fight, because everyone was saying it was the fight version of it. And do we want to do, lastly, Christian Baltimore would love to see Darby Allin as champion. Happy holidays to the Brave Boys.
The bravest boys. Yeah. I mean, it is difficult because he is so small, but I think there's a way you can book it to make him get the big win eventually. It will require a lot of work, though.
I do love Darby Allin, though. I was I loved the tag match that they had.
Yeah, it was really
But
good.
during the ad break, they showed him, like, getting ready to walk to the ring, and I instantly started to get excited about it. And then his music in, I'm like, I'm in. I'm so in. I'm ready.
So let's do the whole show. It opened. Now, this we don't usually talk about NXT and AEW, and we won't go into spoilers, don't worry. But they had to open big because NXT was also opening big with Balor versus Cole.
Yes, for the NXT Championship.
And they closed with the Baszler-Rhea Ripley match.
They were going all guns blazing.
Yeah.
I've got to think that NXT is going to slaughter them in the ratings this week.
Or, as Meltzer pointed out as well, this is not a good week for... That wasn't a good night for anything other than news.
Yeah.
Because of the whole Trump impeachment trial stuff. So maybe that margin might be decreased because... Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the numbers are. Let's see on your thoughts as well. Yeah, as expected, 7,000 people have voted so far. 70% said NXT was the better show. I think that's the biggest difference so
if
far.
not, it's among there. Yeah, I'm completely unsurprised when you go in with two big time title matches that you would have usually saved for takeover shows. And
it was pretty much a takeover.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that was what they wanted to do because it was their last live show of the year. You know, and the next week they have got a show that they've already taped stuff for on Christmas Day, but Dynamite haven't even doing a show on Christmas Day. So I think that NXT were looking to do big all guns blazing for the final show of the year.
But AEW did kick off with an excellent match
Loved
to at least
this
combat
match.
the Balor versus Cole draw. It was Kenny Omega versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus my boys, the Lucha Bros. Hashtag it should have been Pentagon.
Did you see the name bar for Page? So last week it was spent last week's Dynamite home alone with a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
This one says, I don't know, make it say something like Happy Holidays.
Well, that's one of the theories why he wasn't out there saving all his elite friends later. It's because he was just drinking backstage.
Yeah, I was doing some cowboy S words. I love this. I'm first note here for our Brain Power friend. Crowd were super, super hot for this match, and they were so into all four lads in there. I love watching Rey Fenix and Kenny Omega work together. It's just a thing of beauty.
Yeah. I love watching pretty much any combination of these four guys work together. But you're right, Phoenix and Omega has now gone above Pentagon and Omega for me. The commentators did a really good job of building up the story from last week where Omega and Page won, but there was a little bit of the dissension in there where Page blind tagged himself in even though Omega had it won. And that they explained it away as, but they made up on social media afterwards. Great, that's all I need to know. That was a really good use of commentary to tell this story and not do it over in Being the Elite or Dark or some YouTube channel.
Well, that's it, yes. They didn't do it on Being the Elite and then have went on to commentary and was like, I mean, we all saw Being the Elite.
Yeah.
So we all know what happened there.
But it was a bit house showy at the start, in the nicest possible way, where Pentagon spent about a minute teasing getting his glove off.
Doing the glove thing and doing the Zero Miero into the face.
I'm amazed the amount he does that taunt, that it's over every time. You would think, you've done it 4 times this match. It's going to get a bit tired now. But no, the crowd and me watching at home, I still love it.
I love his little walk that he does.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
But he did it to Paige to start things off, but Paige did it right back and shoved it in his face.
Yeah, I loved that.
And then it was just, Phoenix and Omega, Paige versus Penta. There was a holy S-word chant just for the Zero made I can't say it.
Yeah. Spanish is not my forte. I mean, I've written here when they're working over Kenny Omega, because like usually you just write like, heels work over babyface. But it felt like so much more than that because they were working him over so quickly. Like it was, the Lucha Brothers worked together so, like they're such a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
That when they do work on you, it does feel like proper tag team. I know what my partner is doing before they're even going to do it. And it's just so quick. It's impossible to take notes on Lucha Brothers matches sometimes.
It's like the Bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's a brothers thing.
Yeah, because there's a spot in the Bucks match when they did the top rope Hurricane Rana. But when I just write top rope Hurricane Rana, that sounds so basic. But there was actually 10 steps to get to that point, but those 10 steps were too difficult to make notes on. So you just write top rope Hurricane Rana. I hope I remember the rest of it.
Yeah, I think I wrote, they're trying to one-up each other in jumping the ropes. Yeah. And then it ends, Nick wins with a... but the 15-minute time call in this, there's a pop-up German from Paige.
Oh.
Looked great. Like, I think it was Phoenix who was just thrown into Paige.
It was, yeah. It was when the Omega and Paige started to get onto the same page, no pun intended, and to work together. And he just like grabs Phoenix underneath the armpits and just launches him into Paige so we can catch him with the German suplex. I love that as a double team move.
And they're working really well, like you said. But then Omega has got Penta. He's holding him. And Paige comes in to do the buckshot lariat. But Penta moves, takes out Omega. I reacted so big to this. You were watching me. I was just like, because I'm really invested in this story. And when it works so well. And off the back of that, package pile driver and Phoenix stomp for the Lucha Bros to win.
And then after the match, Paige gets back into the ring and they start shoving each other, but get distracted because the bastard Pac was on screen because he's got beef with Omega that he still has to finish. And he says, it's time to remind Kenny Omega of just who I am. He walks down the hallway, opens up the locker room to reveal Michael Nakazawa is listening to his headphones so loudly that he can't hear anyone come into the room.
Maybe they're the same make as Natalia's headphones. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the Dana Brooke drop storyline, a storyline that everyone thought we were mad because we didn't think it was good. But yeah, I thought it was rubbish. And then Pac just so creepily looks back at the camera and closes the door. Kenny Omega freaks out because he's really good friends with Nakazawa, and he runs to the back to save his friend. And during the commercial break, he couldn't find Pac, but he got beat down by the Lucha Brothers, and Paige made the save. So I thought it's very interesting that Paige made the save there, but still wasn't out for their main event angle. Well,
it's a really well-told, slow burn thing. Yeah. I don't think, when you look at some heel turns, you're like, he was heel all along and he was suckering the babyface in. No, I just think this is Paige slowly getting more and more frustrated with people.
Yeah.
And eventually he's going to snap. That's character. That's character growth and change. Really good. Just one tiny thing. I don't know why I appreciated this so much. I love how Omega ran through the crowd to get backstage.
Yeah.
He didn't run up the stage, like the ramp bit.
Yeah.
And I just sat, like in my head, I thought, that's different. It must be faster to get there.
Because they did it for Britt Baker as well after the Chris Statlander match. Because they were doing the gimmick with the Nightmare Collective. You could see the referees taking Britt out the same direction that Kenny went.
But yeah, it's a nice way to extend the Paige Omega stuff, weaving it in with the Pac stuff. There's 3 great names there. I'm so glad they're all in a program together. Bit of Lucha Bros as well. Unfortunately, that Lucha Bros beatdown of Omega, which is off the back of a sort of AAA thing, that Phoenix and Omega had the match. Again, something that would have been better with clips and a video package maybe to inform that. But it was all done in the shrink screen ad break.
Yes.
And while I appreciate the fact that it's a better way to keep viewers from switching over to NXT. Every ad break now is shrink screen as opposed to just a few before. I would like a recap when we come back from break.
Because we kind of talked about this before, and I agree with you. But I think it needs to be later in the show, because the problem with doing it after the break still tells your audience, well, you can switch over because we're going to recap it after the break anyway.
Yeah, the way they're doing it at the moment isn't working.
Particularly because they're not recapping it at all.
Yeah.
Like that's the big issue, is they're not recapping it at all.
Yeah, they are. They do. That's one of their problems. They think you even watch the ad breaks. You watch Being the Elite. You watch Dark. You watch all of our weirdly scattered YouTube channels.
Yeah, you're watching Sammy's vlogs.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. That should be used to augment the stories, not to disperse the stories.
Tell you what, as well, I would have really appreciated some highlights of Dark. Did you see this week's Dark? The main event was the TH2 and Pac versus Best Friends with Orange Cassidy, and it was one of the best matches of the year. It was really good, and then Orange Cassidy tagged in, and the crowd go ballistic for Orange Cassidy, and all the sequence he does with Angelico and Evans are really good, and then it comes down to Orange Cassidy and Pac. Joey Janela gets so excited because Joey Janela was doing commentary. He gets so excited he can't get his words out, and it was amazing, so good.
Well,
Just watch those last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Next up, we had another Cody tag match against the Butcher and the Blade. Mm-hmm. And after last week's tag, where he lost,
yes, with QT Marshall,
it was Darby Allin who came to Cody's rescue because all of Cody's other mates are busy or kicking him in the balls.
Yeah.
So we got this tag match here,
and I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. Cody's so over.
Yeah,
Darby came out, massive pop, and I was like, God, Darby's over. But then the lights cut out. Oh, no, that's over.
Yeah, that is over, yeah. I love Butcher and Blade. I really like their style, particularly the Butcher. And I just absolutely love this match. I also loved as well that they gave this some stakes right at the start, because Darby had apparently said, these commentators told us, that he's teaming with Cody here out of respect, but also if they win, he gets his Cody rematch from Fyter Fest.
I love that.
Yeah, really it just added just a tiny little bit of stakes to the match. And I just thought that my favourite spot of this match, though, was when the Butcher had the cloverleaf in on Darby Allin. Cody sees this and he's like, oh no, my tag partner's in trouble. So he gets him to boot the Butcher off, boots him in the face, and the Butcher just looks at him and be like, yes.
Yeah, there's 2 kicks as well.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm not moving.
Nah, not moving, mate.
It was a really fun match. I didn't love it as much as other people seem to have done. Maybe it's because I'm just not sold on the Butcher and the Blade. They were good in the ring last week, but they lost here.
Yeah.
So it just
kind
feels,
of sucks to lose second time round.
Yeah, but there's a more important story, which is Cody and Darby. Mm-hmm. I think that's the right move to go with that stuff. But now you're left with debuting a new act, and you've beaten them on the 3rd week of them being around.
Yeah.
So it's another problem with AEW, that they're just introducing
too many
people,
characters,
even when they haven't got the current crop over to the extent they need to yet.
Yeah, and they're going to be in a weird position next year, because they are they're debuting people left, right, and centre. Because we had Shanna, we've had Big Swole, we've had Chris Statlander being introduced to the women's division, Butcher and the Blade here, the Dark Order being reintroduced, the Nightmare Collective are making a debut, and then we've also got people saying when's Marty coming in, Brody Lee, and then next year you'll be with the Revival, possibly Rusev and Tennille Dashwood. So that all of a sudden there's going to be even more names that might come in. So it really feels like it's becoming a bit crowded.
CM Punk.
Well, obviously, yeah, it's a bit crowded.
The finish was really good, though. After a visual pin from Cody after hitting the crossroads, but the bunny distracted them. Darby did a coffin drop on the Butcher on the apron.
Yeah, because Cody kicked him onto the apron with a disaster kick, and then Darby, quick as flash, got up there and hit the coffin drop. Oh, it was brilliant.
I bet the Butcher doesn't even feel that. And I bet for Darby, that was the nicest coffin drop he's ever taken.
He bounced off the mustache.
And then Cody hit a really cool springboard cutter to beat the Blade.
Yeah, the double springboard cutter was really nice.
So I think Cody should add the cutter, not a springboard one because it's quite contrived. I think
Tell that to Robbie X.
I think that should be in his repertoire, maybe even as a finishing move. And I'll tell you why. Not only does he have the legacy connection with Randy Orton, whose finisher is the RKO, but there's also the DDP connection.
Exactly, yeah.
I never thought of that before until I saw this.
Well, I thought that's when he did it last week. I thought that's why he was doing it as a tribute to Dusty, who was part of the Nightmare family.
Yeah. But, yeah, not a very good job at building the Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah.
Another tag team to sort of clug up the division. I don't know what clug means, but it feels like that's what's happening.
Jack Klugman.
Yeah. Then we got a Jungle Boy training montage, which was excellent.
This was so good.
Yeah. I was hyped up for it after this.
yeah.
I was like, I want to see this fight.
It made me want to go work out.
It was really good because
It didn't.
I don't know what the oxygen mask thing was.
It's
not
probably
really seen
some
it. Some
fitness
training thing.
Yeah.
But he's running, he's squatting, he's doing these really high box jumps. I can just
With weights.
Yeah. Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was like doing like weights, and then he was doing the box jumps.
I get those. I've seen those. I've used those boxes.
Brag.
And just the one beneath the top one is pretty tall. So how's he doing both of them? But always over the top is Jericho's dialogue from his promo last week. You can't last 10 minutes with me.
Yeah.
You can't last 10 minutes with me. It was really good stuff. Yeah, I've written down here, just wish it was more jungle themed. So maybe he's like, he's swinging on ropes.
Yeah.
A gorilla's giving him a massage.
Yeah. You want George of the Jungle.
I wanted George of the Jungle. Yeah. Watch out for that tree.
It's not Brendan Fraser's highest point.
I love George of the Jungle.
There's no airheads, let's be honest.
Then we got, this is another thing. AEW can't have so many lights cut out entrances.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was Sean Spears.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's not Cody, so it's going to be Sean Spears. It's Awesome Kong!
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need 3 people having the lights out entrance.
And the Dark Order, I think, as well, are going to get that sort of treatment.
Awesome Kong very quickly beat Miranda Alice. She just hit the implant buster for the win. Brandy cuts an inset promo saying she still wants Chris Statlander to join. The bald man walks in, but they're not showing his face for whatever reason.
Who is it?
I don't care. I think that's the real problem here. This isn't like that Dark Order, like the thumbnail that we got, that feels like a mystery. This is a genuine real life mystery, and I just don't care. I love Brandy. I love Awesome Kong. They've made me not care about this group.
Yeah, it's a rubbish gimmick. He's got the sort of mannerisms of Christopher Lloyd's Fester.
From the Addams Family.
The way he sort of walks in. Yeah. So hopefully it's just that.
Yeah.
They cut off her hair, do that thing. Then there's a sit-down interview with Jungle Boy and JR from earlier in the day in the ring. And he just comes across as so likable.
Yeah, I mean, I've written here, it's a genuine promo.
Well, that's it. It's not scripted. He's just talking from the heart. It wasn't, it's not amazing. He's not tearing up or having very good delivery to the extent of Cody's stuff. But it just came across as a real person.
It made me want to see him win. Really made me want to see him win.
Yeah.
Which we got next was Chris Jericho versus Jungle Boy. A match that, I don't think a lot of people got.
Oh, really?
Well, in the sense that when they announced this a couple of weeks ago, Jericho said, I've got one more match in my AEW contract for 2019. And they set the match up with Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
And they said you can last 10 minutes with me.
Yes.
And they announced it's going to be a 10-minute match, not for the title. The amount of people who watched that and said, Jungle Boy hasn't won a match. Why is he getting a world championship match? The win-loss records are already out the window. And it just somehow was like, it's not they've been very clear that it's not a title match. And Jericho was like, well, of course I picked him. He's not beaten anyone.
I was confused by the 10 minutes thing.
Yeah, because you said to me,
I was like, oh.
you said to me, has this always been a 10-minute gimmick?
Well, I knew the 10-minute thing. I just didn't know, and I'm still, to be honest, a bit confused. They had the timer on the Titantron counting down, so it's like, oh, okay, so all he has to do is either Jericho has to beat the clock.
No, it was Jericho said, you can't last 10 minutes in the ring with me.
Yes,
and Jungle Boy said, yes, I can. And so it was just
debating that.
No, so it was just a 10-minute time limit match.
But was it because the match continued and the referee kept on counting pins after?
That's because Jericho asked for 5 extra minutes. So because Jericho, it was an overconfident Jericho, thought he had the match won because he had him in the Walls of Jericho for like 2 minutes. So he was like, no, I'm not having a draw here. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get an extra 5 minutes. So they re-ring the bell. And then he gets back into the ring. Jungle Boy hits a couple of near falls on him. And he was like, oh, actually, you know what? F this. I haven't got him beaten. I'm just going to leave. I didn't actually want those extra 5 minutes.
So okay. I saw all that happen. That makes sense. So it's a count-out loss for Jericho.
They announced it was a draw. They announced that the extra 5 minutes weren't officially sanctioned by AEW.
Okay, I liked it. I just felt a bit confused, but maybe that's my fault for being an idiot.
I don't say you're an idiot.
The match, however, I thought was fantastic. They had Jungle Boy's mum and sister at ringside,
And his nan.
It's exactly what it needed to be. Jericho's being cocky. He could have beaten them, it seemed, a few times early on.
Yeah.
Lifts up the shoulder.
I'm going to school you.
Yeah. There was... he didn't even need to. Jake Hager attack Jungle Boy outside.
I know.
Brilliant.
I loved it because like it was a way to get rid of Hager and Luchasaurus from ringside because Luchasaurus and Marcos don't come down with Jungle Boy. Just love them as a trio. And someone actually said like they videoed their entrance and said, why is it when I see these lads I think of Luke, Ollie and Pete?
Am I Luchasaurus?
You're definitely Luchasaurus.
Well,
because you're the taller of us.
There were points again where and I think it's when Jungle Boy looks sad that he looks like Andy Datson. So I've written that Andy's called Sad Boy. Sad Boy Datsun.
So during this match, Jake Hager, he sort of like low bridges Jungle Boy to fall out while Jericho's distracting. Luchasaurus runs down, they get into a tussle. I'm like, man, I want to see that. Marco Stunt tries to get involved, and Hager just goes bop and just knocks him out the air.
Yeah, it's Stunt doing this dive over the top rope, and it's brilliant.
So good. And the referee ejects them, so Hager walks alone. Luchasaurus throws Marco Stunt over his shoulder to walk away. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then it goes back into the ring, and Jericho's mostly dominating again after a brief flurry. And he gets Jungle Boy in the walls.
Well, the other one as well, they did the lion salt.
Yeah.
So Jericho misses the lion salt, and then Jungle Boy hits a lion salt of his own for a great near fall. Crowd really loved bought into that.
I didn't think they bought into it. I think they liked
they liked the spot, and they're like counting along with it to go with the big, oh.
But I know what you mean. I didn't believe he was going to win.
When they restart the match, I thought he might pick up a win.
But I guess it's non-title. That sit down from the full-on Boston Crab walls of Jericho for like 90 seconds at the end, and Jungle Boy's trying to get to the ropes. Jericho pulls him back into the middle. The whole crowd are willing him. Like, it was really dramatic stuff. That was the best thing on the whole show. Those last 90 seconds of that bit.
Really good stuff. Really, really enjoyed it.
But then it gets to 10 minutes, and then Jericho asks for 5 more minutes. And then I got confused. And then it goes to break, it comes back, and Tony's interviewing Jericho on the ramp. And in a great bit of work, Jericho cuts this promo where he's saying that, but he didn't beat me. He didn't beat me.
Yeah.
But Tony's saying, that wasn't the point, though. You said he couldn't last 10 minutes with you. And Jericho says, no, I didn't.
I never said that.
But he asked for 5 more minutes. So he knows that. And it's just that. And then he sort of does this other heel trick, cowardly trick of making it more about Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to face Jungle Boy anymore. So he makes it about Moxley and how it, join the inner circle. So he's trying to weasel out of 2 different feuds. Brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Yeah, and he says that the January 1st show, the Inner Circle have got a big surprise for Jon Moxley. I did miss John on this show.
Yeah, I know. We can't have him every week.
Can't have him every week, I know, but I did miss him.
Then we get an SCU interview backstage with Jen Decker.
Yeah.
They're ahead of the main event. And the Lucha Bros walk in. Penta is showing the botched spot from Daniels on his phone from the previous week. Daniels gets up in his face and then walks off all sad.
Yeah, because they're making fun of him, and Kaz says, show him you still got it. But Daniels can't. Daniels can't show that he's still got it, and he walks away as very sad.
Dark Angel for a Dark Order.
I mean, me and Laurie thought he might come back as the Fallen Angel when he returns.
Yeah. Then we got Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker for the number 1 contendership, despite the power rankings not.
The
really
power rankings have been
this.
The power rankings weren't last week, but since then have now reflected that they are ranked 1 and 2.
Okay, well that's good. It's clunky.
Well, it's good. It's rewriting of history because they literally said on that show, Hikaru Shida is ranked number 1.
I really like Chris Statlander. I really don't like her gimmick.
The alien thing.
I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't like the makeup. I don't like the boop.
Yeah, I don't like the bopping.
It makes me not want to watch her matches. That's how. Is childish the right word?
Childish is a right. Yeah, I'd say childish.
I like loads of childish stuff, but
Yeah.
for whatever
You like
reason,
Andy.
for whatever reason, I really don't like this. I think it's rubbish.
It's not good. No. It's a bit indie-rific.
Oh yeah, that's a good word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But this match was it was fine. I thought it was okay. Some good stuff.
What was interesting to me is I don't know how long both women have been wrestling, but Britt Baker was sort of the chosen one. She was getting all the initial push stuff because she's a dentist. Wow. Which is impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive.
I've said it before. It takes me out of it because I think wrestling should be your full-time profession if you're that good at it. But she's just missing that level of charisma that would make you at the top of your division. Whereas Statlander seems to be a bit rawer in her wrestling, but she has the charisma.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad they went with her to win.
Completely. Yeah, no, I'm really glad they put her over. And they showed Riho in the crowd. It's the first time we've seen her since Full Gear. It was a month ago.
Yeah. There was also a joindarkorder.com graphic
Yeah.
briefly appeared on screen.
And I know a few people are going to say, well, Riho's in Stardom. Like, she's over in Stardom, maybe she's over in Japan. Do video packages.
Yeah.
You've got time on the show. She's your bloody champion. Like, you should be featuring these people to be like, and here's the great work she's doing out in Japan, representing AEW. What a worldwide brand we are.
Yeah, for that company owned by Bushiroad, the owners of New Japan, I'm sure there's no politically awkward things right there.
Just have a cut promo then.
The finish of this was really good. Is it the lockjaw?
Yeah.
Britt Baker's finished sort of submission thing. She's got Statlander in that, but Statlander just picks her up in a sort of half fireman's carry, then gets her up on her shoulders fully, then transitions into the tombstone where she holds the legs differently. I mean, she's so big and strong.
She's a big, strong girl.
She's a big, strong, brave girl. I was watching that, and I just thought, I cannot wait to see you throw Rio around.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that to Britt Baker, you're going to launch Rio into the universe.
Back
to your home planet. Yeah.
And then Tony's interviewing her on the entrance ramp, and she bops him. And then Brandy comes out, and she sends Tony away.
There was a weird thing about her talking about a microphone not being on.
I think she was meant to have like a sort of like microphone interruption, but the microphone wasn't on. I don't know. Anyway, she comes down to recruit Chris Statlander. Statlander says no, and so Brandy hits her in the face with a heel, and apparently hits her in the eye.
Heel.
She is a heel.
I thought that was a good injury spot. I could feel that. That got me.
Yeah. I just don't care about the.
But
I think that's the problem. It's like I don't care about the group. So even when you do something that is really good like that, it's not really like I'm not interested in Chris Statlander's feud with the Nightmare Collective. I'm interested in see her facing Riho.
Yeah.
But I'm not digging any of this Nightmare Collective stuff. No. It's just not working for me.
Sadie Gibbs ran down to help Statlander. I do like that, babyfaces helping babyfaces. And then we get a backstage thing with Sean Spears and Tully Blanchard talking about how great tag team wrestling is. It's the main event of the show. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
I like that motivation, so I've got to find a tag partner for Spears.
And Tully's like, we need to find you your Arn Anderson. And so that's what they're going to do next.
I didn't think Tully was that good here.
No? He stumbled over his words slightly.
Yeah. But it's a pre-tape. Then you do it again.
I mean, yeah, perhaps. You're right. You should just do it again. Maybe Tully, like, his contract is like, I'm going to do one take of anything.
Yeah. Maybe it was live. And then we got the Young Bucks doing a promo on the tag division and SCU. They love them. They're going to have them round for Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
It's going to be awkward when we've got the tag titles, though.
Yeah, putting them on the Christmas table. It's a dick move.
And then it was the main event, which was Bucks versus SCU for the titles. We've talked about the main event angle cliffhanger, which was the Dark Order invasion. But the match itself was really good. Just a bit too short and never really found that main event gear that AEW has.
You want this to be a PWG Bucks versus SCU match.
Yeah.
And really it wasn't.
Yeah. Before we get into the rest of our super chats, I'll give I'm 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5, yeah.
But also, let's give a shout out to our wonderful $25 a month or more pledge hammers on Patreon. So thank you, Golden, Nick Holden.
Oh,
Yes,
he's holding
thank
on to
you.
what's golden. He's one of a kind. Ket.
Whoa. Jordan, don't you dare call me Mountain. Jew.
That was his choice, man. He didn't want to be called it. Don't call me Junior. Kev Foster Jr.
Whoa, thank you. In my veins, Viper Alistair.
Yep. So Randy Orton's Titantron says in my veins.
veins.
No idea what it means. All-Star Chuck Turner.
Whoa, thank you. Butter me up, Soren Nord. Butter me up, Soren Nord.
Nice.
Why butter me up?
Because it sounds like Soreen, which is beautiful. Well, it's lovely to have butter on. Tantalizing Travis Menticolo.
Yeah, whoa. Colin McLeaner than Finn Balor. Look at those abs.
Leaner,
Look at those abs.
yes. Finding Jory D-Bone.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So let's get into your super chat. Jobber JJ496. AEW in UK 2020. I want a ticket. Love Le Champion.
Yeah, we talk about this on the podcast outro about the UK tour or the UK show. Some theories that we might have.
Well, I'm more interested in what it's going to be called because I think there's going to be some UK royal shenanigans. Not
You
royal
think it's going to
quest.
be called Royal Shenanigans?
Royal Shenanigans?
AEW presents Royal Shenanigans.
Is it better than Revolution?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, let me go on to the. Have you got the live chat open? People give us suggestions of what you want AEW's UK pay-per-view to be called.
Everyone seems to be in agreement with us as well that it was a 3 out of 5 show. Someone's said 2 out of 5, 3.4. Oh,
Give me some names. Give me some names.
Oh, well, Lena thinks it's a low 4 out of 5. Jobber JJ thinks it's a low 4 out of 5. Jeremy, 3 out of 5. Martin says 2 out of 5.
There was a lot on the show to really love. That opening tag, the Jericho Jungle Boy stuff, and you know the SCU
and the first 2
match.
matches.
Yeah, the tag match as well.
Yeah.
Statlander winning. It's yeah.
Lady Fortune, 3 out of 5. Sean gives it a score out of 10, which is not what we're asking for. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's in sort of like between mostly it's a 3 and 4 out of 5 show for most people.
What about any UK pay-per-view name suggestions?
Well, Canamil Probabil says that the AEW UK pay-per-view should be called WWE NXT.
I made that joke too. I said they should call it Takeover London.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the super chats. Nate drops surname. Paige's moonsault on Ray off a dropkick to Penta. Wow.
Yeah. Really, really great stuff. Like Jim, yeah, because he hits it like a drop kick and uses Pentagon as a springboard.
Yeah.
I thought Jim Ross was blown away by it. He was like, "What happened?" But also, I love how the commentator said the genius of that move is it sends the tag partner out the ring. Like
ring awareness.
Yeah, I liked how the commentary played that.
All Elite DK. Damn, I want Luchasaurus versus Jake Hager so badly.
Do we all just want Luchasaurus and everything? Like, really, that's.
It's weird because I don't usually want to see big guy versus big guy, but Luchasaurus versus big guy.
Yeah,
I'm into pretty much every combination.
I want to see Luchasaurus Darby Allin.
No,
I want to see
no.
I want to see Luchasaurus John Moxley. Like I want to see Luchasaurus as the main event of this show.
I don't want to see him get into the violent stuff.
There's not violence. It's just the smaller guy bouncing off of him.
John Moxley and Darby Allin, they get like weapons out.
Oh, you don't want to see Luchasaurus get hurt.
It's cruelty against animals. I want to see
They're extinct,
him.
mate.
That's a hate crime. Yeah. Jake C. Luchasaurus versus the Butcher, yes or no?
Yes, for me.
It's a big guy. Yeah, I think that would be a nice feud, actually.
Jurassic Express versus
Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah.
That works.
Because you can also have comedy on the outside with Marco and the Bunny.
Yeah. Tim Arndt, no disrespect to Statlander's wrestling ability, but her gimmick seems like it belongs in early 90s WWF or even CGW.
Yeah.
It is actually, isn't it? It's a bit of a crap gimmick, wrestling gimmick. Yeah. And like Aliens is so 90s.
Yeah.
That's I'm in total agreement with you.
But not in the cool 90s way that Jurassic Express are.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Probably because it's a woman. All Elite DK. I think big AEW stars want to build new stars, and it's making them dull. Why can't Cody, Kenny, and Pac get more important matches with deep storylines?
Well, that's exactly it, yeah. Like, Cody's whole mission has been to create a whole new crop of stars. Same with Kenny and the Bucks. They don't want to be pushing themselves to the top because they don't want to Jeff Jarrett the situation.
All Elite DK again with a suggestion for a UK name.
Which is exactly the same one you came up with as well.
AEW presents Brexit Down.
Brexit Down.
With 3 smiley face emojis at the end. Yeah, I think if you have Brexit, but you make loads of X's,
Yeah.
so just call it Exit.
Triple exit.
Yeah, so it looks like F it.
Time for me to exit, Terminator exit. Right, on the subject of WrestleTalks, Fergal McClement. I'd love a longer form podcast every day from Luke and Ollie, just chatting wrestling or rambling each day. Then news episodes with Pete and Laurie doing them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of content. I think you might want it now, but will you want it when we're 20 episodes deep over 4 weeks?
And you know, we actually did, like, one of our things was going to be to do daily wrestling podcasts, and then we presented it, and everyone was like, nah.
That's too much.
Actually, I don't want that at all.
I mean, right now we do 5 long-form review shows a week.
Yeah.
On a non-pay-per-view week. It's going to be 6 this week, so...
Robert says, hey guys, just want to say how much I appreciate all you guys do. I went to my very first show, live show 3 weeks ago, and I'm thinking about going to Revolution as well. I always look forward to your videos. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. And that's a very generous super chat you gave in there as well.
It was a very
You should be
generous one,
saving your money for those Revolution tickets. I think absolutely get if you're in 2 minds, just go with the one that says yes.
And lastly, from Brainpower 316, another interesting note, a local promotion was advertising a free meet and greet with Brody Lee on January 10th in Corpus Christi.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Obviously, he won't be wrestling. It's not a televised promotion.
Because the Ascension have got a meet and greet at the start of March, but their actual match that they're having for another isn't until the end of March. I think it's March 21st.
Yeah, so maybe non-compete does even mean independent promotions. It's such a crazy rule for someone who's not an employee.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, they're independent contractors.
Yeah. Like how are you gonna make the money after you've been let go from your freelance relationship?
Yeah.
It's disgusting, it really is. But yeah, that's all we've got time for this episode. No post show.
No post show again.
The no post show streak continues. We put so much stuff in place for that to be a thing. But yeah, maybe we'll get to it one day.
One day.
Next decade.
Yes, in the new decade.
We'll get a post show. But for now, please press the videos that have just appeared on screen to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things. The news went live as we were recording this, so go and watch that. Ronda Rousey is making her return.
Indeed.
And press this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon, where you can get shout-outs and loads of exclusive extra podcasts. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.